Hi, and welcome to day 3 of drinking at 11 a.m. and then watching giant killer bees eat my neighbors.
Wow, in 5D?
5D.
That seems traumatic. Do you need to talk about it? Are you okay?
I mean, I'm okay. It's part of the reason why I've been drinking early. It's like, I'm like, oh, Jesus, God, this
okay.
thing's giant.
Yeah,
but,
no, that makes sense, is the drinking. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, as a quick, well, actually, let's go ahead and introduce you guys first, then I'll go to the quick aside. First of all, with me, usually, is Devin, who's also known as Bonsai. That's that guy, which direction is not really aware of me.
I'm over here and down. You want to point down.
There you go. Devin down here. Then we also have Eduardo, also known as Archangel of Light. He's that way. That way. That way. And of course, I'm Big Bird, also known as Steven, whichever you want to call me. I don't even care. But I wanted to say that just because we skipped last week, so some of this news might be a little bit delayed by about a week. Just
Damn
a little bit of, I know, right? We're a bunch of assholes.
How dare we?
I know,
We are
bad.
scum.
But I just want to make sure that if anybody is wanting super current events, some of these things might be a little bit delayed from last week because we didn't do it last week.
But other things are just awesome.
Yeah. So speaking of, do you guys have anything fun and awesome you want to go off on first? Do we want to start with Avengers, or we got something else we want to do?
Actually, before, I'd like to point out that today's a big day for me. And
Oh God, it's a big day for you.
because
What
of it,
happened?
Classic.
Oh, motherfucker
right.
finally got it.
guess who's a motherfucking citizen?
Did you
That's
buy
right.
those things just to bring onto the podcast?
Actually, no, but
Did they
funny
give them to
enough,
you?
well, they do give me a little flag that you're supposed to wave after you swear in and all that.
Really?
The Center
Seriously?
Shades are brought to you by my fiance Van, which you guys catch sometimes on the Tuesday streams joining me. But yeah, this she made herself. This is actually a chopstick.
Okay.
And with a little flag. So I will be wearing the Center Shades in honor of my becoming a real person according to the law. The
Yeah.
whole cast. So
Coming real, motherfuckers.
there's that. But yeah, let's talk about Avengers because that seems like bigger news.
All right, sweet. So I assume we've all seen it, correct?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
All right. I think, Devin, because you say there's some things that you really wanted to talk about, like technically speaking about the movie, let's start with you. What do you have to say about it?
It wasn't that it was like something really technical. It was just that that movie was wildly complex.
Yes.
Throughout the course of that movie, they set up 2 other announced films and really leave themselves open to announce a bunch of other things. Or actually,
Yeah.
no, they've set up 3 of them now.
Did they?
All in the course of a single movie. So
Right.
you finally have like somebody directly calling out the Infinity Stones and Thanos' plan with them, which is going to
Yes.
lead us into the Avengers Infinity War. You have Cap and Iron Man fighting more and more and more, which is going to lead us into Captain America Civil War. We have our first look at Wakanda, which is going to lead us into Black
Yeah.
Panther.
Especially because they mentioned it a little bit too, which made it really obvious.
Well, they actually went to the country, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, they
It's
went
that
to
one
Wakanda
scene, right?
and got vibranium, and now that I think that the Avengers have went romping through Wakanda, they're going to have a bigger call to have their own person be a part of these matters.
Right.
And then we get the Black Panther in.
Okay.
Can I actually? I know people are gonna want to lynch me for saying this, but does anyone else feel like this is one of those movies that could have actually used a 2-parter?
No.
No, I think a longer movie was fine. Though there are a few things that I would have changed, which I think would have been better. But they're kind of spoilery. We really should set up a spoiler alert thing for the Twitch.
Eduardo, make a spoiler alert noise.
Well, I
Jesus.
meant a visual spoiler alert because you
Eduardo,
know.
do something wacky with your arms. There you go. Spoiler alert.
So you know what? As long as I'm
whoa,
holding, as
whoa,
long as
whoa.
I'm holding up my hand, there will be spoilers for the Age of Ultron movie that I will speak of
Does
right
not
now.
help the people listening on the podcast.
It doesn't, but the people on the podcast can just press fucking forward a couple times and wait till I'm not talking about specifics.
Okay.
But it'll be a couple minutes. It won't be too long. Anyways, so what the biggest thing that I wanted to, or would have changed, honestly, was I think I would have cut out about half of the stuff they did with the romance stuff between Natasha and the Hulk, right?
Disagree.
And the reason why I would cut out half of those is I think they should have kept it downplayed for the most part. But instead of using that time, because again, it's a thick movie of just time, they should have taken that little bit of extra time, like 30 seconds is all you'd really need, to put a little bit of the transition that, what is it, Psylocke and Quicksilver, is that her name? What's her name?
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. Yeah, sorry. Brain.
Which, for legal reasons, were not called Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in the movies and should not be called Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch here.
Whatever.
They're
Point
called
is,
Pietro and Wanda.
point is, those two switch sides really quickly, and I think it could have really helped to sort of get connected to those characters if you had a couple of scenes where they're talking about what they're really doing now when they find out all the shit with Ultron's plans. Just going like, oh wow, what do we do? And then the scene where Captain America shows trying to save the train with them, they could have looked at each other and just been like, kind of with a little bit of knowing moment of, okay, we're gonna do this, right, kind of thing. So, and that would have, I felt like, really developed their characters a little bit more.
I disagree completely.
Than they did otherwise.
So here's the thing, though. The reason I feel like it could have been 2 movies, or maybe it needed to be developed a little bit more in one of the individual character movies. It's just the whole, like, we just breezed over the fact that Tony Stark created these fucking robots, and it's called the Age of Ultron, and we really kind of just saw, like, the 2 weeks of Ultron.
Were you really expecting the movie to take an age long because it's called the Age of Ultron?
But I felt like...
Seriously.
I felt like everything happened way too fast. Like, there was a lot of things that were skipped over. Like, it was like, oh yeah, Tony created this death robot, and it was like, you're a dick. Okay, moving on.
Because he was showing that stuff in Iron Man 3. Those things were already being talked about. This is just showcasing his actual thing.
He's been working on this kind of thing. They knew he was doing this already.
Right.
Yeah, but at the end of Iron Man 3, he destroys all that shit.
He destroys his suits to go make a more standardized mechanized warrior.
Exactly.
I guess I missed that.
But, so, I mean, I felt like there was a few things like that. One of the things that really got me, though, overall for the movie, was some of the action scenes were a little bit too jumpy for me. And that's just kind of a thing of the ages, I guess. But I feel like they could have done a lot better off with, like, more fixed cameras for a lot of this stuff. But there were quite a few really awesome scenes, though. So, I mean, I enjoyed the movie muchly overall.
Okay. So, the love story stuff absolutely had to be in there. Because so far, those are the couple of characters who we haven't had a chance to connect with on an actual one-on-one level, because those characters don't have their own movies. This movie needed to have something that showcased the other people.
So that's
why we got to see Hawkeye's family, and why
that's exactly what I was going to say. One of my favorite parts of the entire movie actually was seeing Hawkeye and his family. Like that really was some of the best parts of the movie for me, because it's like, finally I have a reason to like this guy. So just think he's some dude I don't give shits about. Yeah. But when he shows that, like, you can see a lot of who he is, and I really like that. And that's why I think the love story should be there for sure. I just felt like they did a little too much, particularly with the scene where they were at his family's house.
Well, did you notice what they were doing, though? You come into this movie knowing that someone is going to die. It has to happen. It's just... That has to happen in this movie. So they set up a terribly tragic ending for just about every side character. Yes. Tony's the only one who's kind of on the rocks. Thor, Captain America, neither one of those two really even come close to like a fuck kind of situation.
Right.
But Scarlet Witch, Hulk, her name's Scarlett Johansson, and I keep calling her Scarlet fucking Witch. I've been doing it all week. Black Widow, Hulk, and Hawkeye, all three of them have these moments where you're like, it would be tragic if any of these people died during this particular mission.
And they set it up to really have that tension where you just knew it was coming. Is this the scene? Is this the scene?
So they also needed it to be framework for this impending doom situation. It needed to be there. Like, in crafting a tale... There were a
lot of perfectly fine scenes for me. Like, the one that really got me the most, though, was just the scene in the house with the shower scene and stuff. Like, I felt that one was kind of like, it was too ham-handed, I think, for the story that they were doing. Like, I like the one in the bar where she's talking to him as the bartender, things like that. Like, there's some really cool little scenes that they did that I felt were fine. It's just like that one scene, I would have rather put that time used for really building out the two characters whose names I don't remember, Pietro
and Wanda.
Did anyone else feel like Hawkeye was going to die there for a moment?
No, you're supposed to.
That's the whole point.
You are absolutely supposed to.
Okay, because like the way they were setting him up and the fact that he was going to retire or whatever, I was just like, oh, you mean it's his last week on the Force? He's only 4 days from retirement? Yes. Oh, no.
but you're supposed to have that feeling. Same with, Scarlett Johansson, fucking Black Widow, and Hulk are See, I went Johansson this time to save myself from saying Scarlet Witch again. But, they're doing this whole love story thing, so there's a really terrible reason for each of them to die. Because they're both wishy-washy about, oh, let's run away, but we have this responsibility, but we can just get out of here, we're dangerous and we don't need it, and you're broken. So you're like, fuck, if either one of them dies, they're not going to get to run away together and shit. And they keep putting both of them in horrible situations where they're really close to being the ones who die.
Right.
You're supposed to have this three-way pull of, fuck.
And how cool was the fucking Hulkbuster armor?
Hulkbuster was cool.
It was.
I really enjoyed that. Okay, so to your other point of the Pietro and Wanda characters, remember that they're working with severe limitations on what they can do with these characters. They're not allowed to say the word mutant. They can't call them mutants. They're not legally allowed to call them mutants. They can't talk about their dad. They can't talk about anything that at all relates to the X-Men. They can only reference stuff that happens to them in Avengers books. So they're already working with really weak backgrounds, which is also why, raise your hand up higher, this is a big spoiler.
Bigger spoiler.
Probably the biggest spoiler of the movie. This is why it's okay that they kill Quicksilver.
Right.
Sure, they're really big characters in the comics, but we need something to ground us to these characters, and we can't do it with background, because you don't want to acquire the X-Men in 5 years and then have screwed your chance to fit them in with everything.
Well, then that's kind of exactly...
to play it neutral.
Right, that's kind of why I like the idea of just having a couple of scenes in there, like, specifically between the scene where, like, they find out, you know, like, they go into the lab with Ultron, and she sees his flash of his memories, and goes like, holy fuck, no, this is not right, and she does a little thing. If we could have had a scene after that where they were just sort of, like, talking for 2 or 3 seconds, even, you know, maybe 10, about, like, you know, what do we do now? You know, what we thought was the right choice, you know, have we fucked up? Have we screwed everything? Well, so had a scene like that.
If you remember, they don't immediately go to, we're joining the Avengers.
No, I know that.
They go to, we're joining Captain America. They're still totally hesitant of Tony and totally backing them on, hey, homeboy's gonna fuck shit up. Don't let him finish what he's doing.
But still, my point is having a scene like that where they decide, like, do we want to try and undo this by helping, like, Captain America or something? Like, have a scene, it doesn't have to be so direct like that, but just a scene where they talk about that a little bit. And then in that little moment where, before they decide to really start helping Captain America, look at him, or look at each other, I mean, and just kind of, like, have that moment of knowing, like, okay, this is what we want to do. And just kind of, like, nod to each other. And that just, like, to me, it builds a little bit of, their decision-making, lets you kind of connect to them a little bit more. So, and I feel like that little scene would be
always better. You know? I don't feel what they gave you was really lacking. It fit.
I mean, it's definitely not bad. I just feel like it could have been built out a little bit more, and it would have been significantly better to see that, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Well, so, like, I knew it was part of the main, like, plot, right, that Scarlet Witch made them kind of crazy. But I honestly could have done a lot less with the inter-team bickering, because I'm like, oh, you're reestablishing yourself as a team.
But they have to do that for the next Captain America.
Yeah, you have to have that.
Because remember, the next one's Civil War.
Yeah.
So we have to build Civil War now so we can watch Civil War happen in the next one.
Yep.
Because so all of Civil War's over and done in one movie. That one's not going to stretch to multiple films. It's all Civil War, one movie, done.
That's going to be crazy trying to cram all that in.
Well, but they also don't have to go through the Registration Act. Everybody already knows who all of the heroes are. None of them have secret identities except for Hawkeye and Natasha, but Natasha doesn't matter because she's...
Well, no, she doesn't, because she was the one that came out with everything.
Oh, that's true, yeah. It's just Hawkeye.
It's Hawkeye and then, you know, maybe the new characters that they bring in. You know?
No, like, Falcon doesn't wear a mask. Like the only one...
Well, yeah, you're right. They don't wear masks, so I guess it's true.
Yeah. Out of the new team, 2 of them will wear masks. Out of the ads that we're going to get throughout the next few movies.
Right.
And was anyone else a little underwhelmed with the Vision? You know, gigantic Infinity Stone in his head.
A little bit.
Faint in the middle of the battle.
I don't feel like it was too bad. Yeah, he's a day old. I mean, I was a little bit underwhelmed, but I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing.
Well, I was honestly impressed with the character just because they did his powers correctly and didn't explain it. You see him phasing through these enemies with no explanation as to how he does that, and they're just like, comics.
Yeah.
like they never go through like, oh, his body's made of a material that can do the... They don't. You just see him start reaching through motherfuckers and gently splitting them in half, and you're just like... What the fuck is that? And you're just left to be like, yeah, he's...
Well, I mean, to be fair, I had some asshole behind me going like, oh, the Vision! I wish I was exaggerating. He was really that bad.
Was it?
Yes.
So are we done with spoilery Avenger things?
Is your arm getting tired?
No, I'm asking because
I'm trying to think of if there's any other thing about the movie that really needs to be pointed out that's really considered that spoilery.
Right.
No, I don't think so. We can always put your hand back up, so we're good for now.
All right. Spoiler alert has been completed for a little bit.
Okay, so did you like the movie, Steven?
I did in fact like the movie. I enjoyed it much. I laughed a lot. It was great. I recommend it for people.
So that was one of the things I heard against it. Well, there were two big things that I heard against the movie. First was that people were complaining that Black Widow was too much of a damsel in distress.
Okay, I can agree there.
I don't agree at all.
No.
Well, I mean, I can agree why they would say that. I should say.
I literally do not even see the basis for it. She carries every situation she's in.
But
there's only one scene where I can see this. There's two scenes I can see that then. Good point. There's the kidnapping aspect, which is one of it, which is not really that big of a deal. I don't think that really
anybody
counts.
can get sucker punched and kidnapped.
You know what? I gotta put the fucking spoiler back up, because we're talking about things that happen. So there's a kidnapping scene, and then there's also the, fucking stupid. There's also the fact that when Hulk is carrying her back after the explosions, but still, I can see why people would say that, but no, I get you.
But in her very first scene of the movie, she saves two people. In every situation with Banner, she's not the one who's aggressively being hit on. She is the one who is taking the reins.
No, I absolutely
situation she is in.
Fantastically designed in every way, and I'm so happy that they're writing a character like her into these movies, because she's the epitome of exactly what I feel like a lot of people are complaining about with media and women. Along with Agent Carter, those two characters are seriously strong but emotional characters. And they're good.
Agent Carter kicks some major ass.
Yeah, she does. It was a fucking awesome show. I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen most of it.
So the other complaint that I heard was that the movie was too quippy.
Yes and no. I feel like it's nice to have the lightheartedness.
Actually, one of my favorite scenes is Hawkeye's little basically
he's walking back.
Yeah, it was like
I agree.
It was his version of join the Avengers. They said it'll be fun. They said, it was his version of that. I thought that was great. Him and Pietro, whatever. What their little kind of back and forths were fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Hawkeye was given a fucking personality, and it was great. And it was through
he had a chance to be built up. That's what made it so good. He had time to actually be grown. Otherwise,
the first chunk of the first movie, he's hypnotized.
Yeah, you barely
you don't see him afterwards either.
So here's why I defend the whole quippy thing, though.
Because it's not dark and gritty.
Well, yes.
Part of it.
No, because that's actually a really important part of most comics. Most spandex superheroes tend to be very quippy. To the point where even in The Outsiders, a DC comic about a super group, they're all a bunch of new fledgling kind of members in the group, and somebody starts talking about quips and why they bother being so snarky in the middle of a fight. Isn't that a little ridiculous? Shouldn't they be focusing? And they're like, but that's the point. As long as we can remain focused and throw out these quips, the enemy's distracted by it.
Right.
It's, we're joking, we're having a good time, they're getting angry, they're getting frustrated, and you have the upper hand as long as you're doing this. I actually think it's really necessary.
Right, and I like that part of it. I mean, maybe I felt a little bit kind of done with it at the end. Maybe at the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely glad there's no more of these quips. But at the same time, they were good. They made me laugh. They made it enjoyable. I'm not complaining. Kind of thing. So
I love that even the villain was willing to get in on being kind of humorous.
Right.
It was finally a villain who's like, I'm not evil, but really, he believes he's not evil. He's here to have a good time. He's just doing what
there needs to be more villains who don't think they're evil. That just is a thing that should happen in more things in general, because most villains don't really. If you think of what a real villain is like, they think they're doing the right thing, and they're not.
Mm-hmm. So I never read the whole comics, and I've seen some of the Marvel cartoons, but they end up being fuck awful. Was he always such a fucking pussy?
What do you mean?
The Banner part of it.
Different people have kind of shown him in different light, but yeah, a lot of the times he tends to really not like the Hulk and aim more towards pacifism.
Yep.
Because he was even beyond pacifism. It just felt like he was getting swept up in fucking Tony's schemes the whole time, and he's
putsy.
Yeah, it was just like he seemed more. Banner seemed more like a sidekick to Tony during those.
He's kind of supposed to.
Right.
Well, and again, that's what I'm asking. Like, I don't know much about the Banner side of things.
I wouldn't say it's like that in the comics, but because he has his own showcase. But for what they're doing in the Avengers, yeah, I feel like that's kind of what you're supposed to feel. But I also feel like it doesn't downplay the character, because Banner's not the show, and Banner kind of realizes he's not the show. The Hulk's the show. He's here because he's smart enough to not be locked in a cell until they need him.
Right.
And he gets it.
I just think that there was one particular scene, and I'm not going to spoil what happened before it, but he's literally sitting there going, like hugging himself, going, I'm still an important person. I'm still an important person. Right? You guys know which scene I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Keeping the spoilers out of it. I don't know. I feel like maybe he should have been a little bit more assertive. Not like rage at everything, but like, hey, Tony, that's a bad idea. Not like, but they just might stay
But
there.
those ideas fit into his line of thinking. Remember, he's trying to be pacifistic. He's trying to do that. So
and he does want to help Tony, because the thing Tony's talking about is great.
Yeah, Tony is talking about doing exactly what he wants to do. Stop fighting. So that makes sense to me. All right, so I think we should move on from the Avengers at this point. We've been talking for 20 minutes on it.
Ever move on from
I think that we should, because we got a lot of other stuff to cover from last week.
So let's go over really quickly. Which trailers did you guys get out front of yours? Did you guys get any of the cool new ones?
Trailers for what?
Well,
in front of the Avengers.
I got the Batman vs Superman.
Oh, I didn't see that now.
I got the oh fuck, there was another comic one that I already forgot about, so clearly that wasn't fucking important.
Ant-Man was there.
Oh yeah, Ant-Man was the other comic he won. But apparently if you went and saw it in IMAX, you got the full-on Star Wars trailer in IMAX.
Oh, you mean like a real trailer?
No, the one they already had. Much
that.
like the Batman vs Superman one.
Yeah,
were there any new trailers that you guys saw?
There were a couple of things, not comic book related, but there were a couple of trailers that I at least said, I'll watch. Like, I kind of want to go see Tomorrowland now.
Yeah,
after watching that trailer.
Tomorrowland looks great.
Before it was like, that's great. It's a theme park? Is that what you're talking about? But yeah, no, after watching the trailer, I actually want to go see Tomorrowland. I'm actually really looking forward to watching a movie where George Clooney actually does stuff. Well, a lot of the times, he just kind of does a lot of talking, and he's very suave and charming and all that. And he, like, arranges for things to happen, but he's not actually doing stuff, at least from the ones that I've seen. Gravity kind of just floated around, and,
I didn't bother watching that movie.
Everybody kind of just floated around. But yeah, so I'm kind of excited to see him do stuff. Like, did any of you guys watch Three Kings back in the day? It was him, Jamie Kennedy, fucking Ice, one of the Ices, T or Q, but Ice Cube, I think. And it was actually a really good movie.
You just became a 90-year-old Jewish woman. I don't know, one of them Cube boys, the Ice one, I'm not sure.
I'm terrible with names, and I imagine someone would have called me on it if I said the wrong one. Not Steven, because I'm not sure he knows who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about, but I haven't seen the movie, so I wouldn't have ability to call you out on it being wrong.
But anyways, Three Kings was great. George Clooney was doing stuff. I'd like to see that again.
I used to be George Clooney.
Oh, you
yeah, it's great. So
so that was when Batman and Robin happened.
So the biggest thing I actually, to move on here, one of the biggest things of last week that I really wanted to talk on, and I think it's worth noting now, even though it's kind of like dead and gone and kind of came up and disappeared, was the Steam paid mod situation, because there's been a lot of talk about that. A lot of things happened, and I think it should be talked about a little bit.
So before you get into that though, I've been reading a lot of articles that are focusing a lot on the Skyrim side of it. So was it a general Steam paid mods or just a Skyrim?
From what I understand, they pushed out paid mods for Skyrim, and I think there was one other game that was, I think it was even another Bethesda game, right? And that's I think part of the reason why things happened the way they did. But just in a nutshell of kind of how I feel about the whole thing is that I want to see people who are making mods get paid for their jobs or their work.
Yeah,
and the reason why I want that isn't just because, they're doing work, they should get paid. It's also because, one of the biggest pieces that I heard that I didn't even think about before, and, found this in an article, was the mention of the fact that modders used to be doing mods out of their own time for free, to get into the industry, right? But nowadays, there's so many other ways to get into the industry, including like build your own game as an indie person. Or if you're looking to get into a bigger company, you just kind of have to do that anyways. Mods aren't the place where people look anymore to get new developers for their games. It's just not that anymore, unless you do something super fantastic. So having them get paid so they can make more of these awesome mods and see more of these development communities like really flourish, in more than just like, oh hey, there's this really quick mod I did. And one of the really big supporting pieces that I can bring up is actually the Garry's mod, which originally was a free mod for Source, right? And then with Gmod, I think it's 10. It's either 9 or 10. I can't remember which number it was. The more recent one, he went to a paid mod. And there's actually an article he talks about how it was. He had the same exact reaction from the people until they actually got their products and moved on from there. Because because he was getting paid, he was able to create a much more robust, a much more enjoyable experience. And I really help for some other modders and stuff too, because, ultimately, don't we want more awesome content?
Yeah,
Why
it's
not
a lot
pay these
easier to
people
do that stuff when you're making money and don't have to go to work, because you can make money making your mod.
Well, we can take the fact that we've been doing the Twitch streaming and stuff. Like I've dedicated a good 15 hours of my week to streaming on top of my 40-an-hour-a-week job. If I didn't have that 40 hours of a week to do it and I could sustain myself off the stream, I'd be having so much more awesome time with this. I could do so many more different things. Absolutely. I can build out all these. It's like the amount of time you open up if you're getting paid for this sort of thing is huge. So I think the issue people were having weren't necessarily that mods were being paid for, which were used to be free. I think the issue was that it shook a community that was already really, really solidified, and that was the Skyrim community.
Yeah.
Because this really well developed, and I think that was the biggest mistake that Valve made with this particular one. Not the fact that they did it, but the fact that they chose that game to start with. And it makes sense because Bethesda really pushes that out, but I think that was the big mistake here.
So, but was it really a Valve thing, or was it a guy at Valve had an idea and ran with it, right?
No, it was a Valve decision.
Well, was it Gabe Newell?
Yeah, Gabe said he didn't know about it.
Yeah, he came out pretty quickly saying he didn't know about it, and I was reading the articles on it, and
I didn't catch those.
And basically, it sounds like because of how Valve is structured, that people can kind of just work on projects and run with them, and sometimes the right hand doesn't talk to the left hand in that sense.
Yes, that's true, but at the same time, as far as I know, they do have some kind of vetting before they put anything out live, so,
So, yeah, ultimately, I'm not quite sure that they really had all, the head of Valve.
They didn't have full support to do it. They got just enough people to smile and nod to make it happen.
Right.
And I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing what they did. Like, as long as it wasn't a mandatory thing, then I don't get where.
There are a couple other issues that kind of come up with it, like the fact that the original game developer and Valve themselves get so much of the profit sharing here is kind of a little bit. It's just steep on their side.
Did you end up finding out what the percentage was?
The percentages were. From what I know that Valve was taking the same amount of cut that they take for anything that you get produced on there. Like, if you make an indie game, they take a set amount, and that's fine. That makes sense because they're hosting the download servers, and that stuff is fine. But I think that the problem was the developer and the mod maker split was actually determined by whoever the developer of the game is. In this case, I think it's higher than what it should have been. Or at least in my opinion, for what it should have been. And I think that was because Bethesda was like, well, we can make some money here. And I think that was... So the numbers weren't as... Because a lot of people were seeing these ridiculous numbers like 75% and then 25% kind of thing. It's not really what it was. But it does seem like that when you look at the numbers at base. And it has to do with the way that the Bethesda or the mod maker are determining the things. So I'm not really sure.
That sounds like Nintendo's content network. Where, you want to create content for us? Yeah, we own this percentage of it, give us money.
Ultimately, the problem I had with it was, besides that, is just the fact that, like, I think the biggest problem I had, honestly, was actually the way the community reacted. Like, I know why it happened the way it did, but it was kind of a surprising outburst for something that was really not a big deal.
But does that really surprise you nowadays? I mean, nerd rage is rampant.
No, but at the same time, yes, because in this case, we're looking at a situation where these people who really like these mods are being told, hey, we can sell these mods now so we can make better mods, right? I imagine that the people, even at the base, like maybe they're upset about the specific decision making that was done, but I'm surprised how big of a fire it created. You know, like it's the scope that I'm surprised about, not the fact that there was an upheaval or an issue with it. Because I mean, obviously there would.
I saw Reddit posts like, "Don't let them take this from us!" Like they were like ready to start boycotting and taking action against it. Like it got huge within a matter of days.
Right.
Like at one point, someone actually called I forget his name, but the guy who actually made the announcement called him the Hitler of Skyrim.
Yeah,
like that was sent. I was like, "Are you kidding? This is what? It's not making anybody do anything. If the mod developers don't want to pay charge, they don't have to."
Right. But again, I feel like the way they should have did something like this was instead of doing it with the Skyrim system, they should have like put out a new game or talked with a new developer of a game who wanted to have mod support, and then build it out that way and see if they could build a community around the idea of mods could be paid for, and see if they could start it small. But they picked one of the biggest modding communities in the fucking world to go with it first. In fact, most people would put Skyrim or any of the Bethesda games on their top lists not because of the original game, but because of the mods that come out for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Bethesda's drive to do it that way now. So like, if you're really gonna sit there and try and like change something so big for a community that's so rooted, I'm not surprised there was outcry for that.
Yeah,
maybe work with Bethesda on their next game is an idea.
It's not even that. It wasn't. It's like. I don't know, man. It's like
the way it was rolled out. Honestly, was like the hullabaloo hand grenade was thrown.
Yeah, it wasn't sort of a slow thing. Out of nowhere.
It was one day. Guess what you're paying for?
It's guess what you could possibly pay for. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's like the point is how it's perceived. Like if somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey man, I've got this idea. I'm thinking, maybe we'll do a thing where we can start trying to monetize these things and you pay the people kind of like we've already been doing in one of our other situations. We have these community-based things that we're making and they're making money through those. And it's kind of cool. We'd like to make it for other games, not just our games. You think that's kind of cool?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, okay." But instead, the community saw, boom, fucking paid mods.
Yeah.
They didn't see any of that conversation, none of that lead up, none of it at all, and suddenly there's these paid mods. And as much as you don't have to make the paid, it's just like, it's a surprise. If you get punched in the face as opposed to, touched on the shoulder to talk about it, you're going to have a different reaction. I think that's the issue at hand there.
I don't know. I feel it's like someone asking you to pay for extra emoticons on your fucking smartphone, and everyone going, "Fuck you and your extra emoticons."
Actually, they did play that commercial while I was in the movie theater watching Ultron about how you could download something that put more emoticons on your phone. Oh god. They're cursing me!
On your... Oh god.
Sorry. But you could download more emoticons and bullshit. And me and my girlfriend looked at each other right away and were like, fuck that. And fuck them. It's basically like, hey kids, do you like malware? Give us $9.99 and get all the malware you want.
Yeah, but it wasn't, now you have to have this fucking malware and you'll like it. It wasn't that. And neither was these fucking mods. So,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think it was a bigger reaction than it ever should have had, but I can see why people... There's validity on both sides, and it's sad that it had no chance to really be tried, truly.
Beautiful.
That's what I have there. Other big news related to games right now, just to move on, Silent Hills is not happening anymore.
I heard.
Yeah, that makes me sad. Very sad.
I'm kind of sad, but at the same time, the game to me is a dead series unless they do something good, so it's sad to see a thing that could have been a revival for the game disappear. But, I mean, I'm not hyped for a game like that because I've been out of the loop for Silent Hill for a while because there just hasn't been anything worth my time. So, for me it was kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, but
while we're talking about games, did you guys hear the worst news ever?
Hold on. For the Silent Hills thing, did you guys hear that people are actually selling their consoles that had the demo on it for thousands of dollars?
I heard about that. It's stupid. It's silly.
So there were at least 2 PS4s on eBay for $1,500 just because they had that mod that expired for Silent Hills. I don't know if they sold.
I'm actually surprised they took that off, honestly. Like at all.
If it's not being done, the content just expired.
It was a teaser for the series. Like it can be, whatever. I'm surprised they took it off. But you know,
all right.
What were you saying?
I just wanted to bring that up. Go on.
Yeah.
Saddest news ever, guys.
I don't know what you're talking about, so you'll have to tell me.
The Kim Kardashian game got canceled.
Halo 5 comes out on my birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
Oh my god, that's so awesome. Guess who's not coming to your party?
I'm not having a party. I'm gonna go mourn the fact that a series that has rapidly skated downhill like it was trying to murder itself, but it just couldn't do it, so now it's just whipping stuff out, begging you to shoot it in the face and finally put it out of its misery, and it has to drag its bloated fucking carcass in front of all of us on my birthday.
Someone's definitely bitter about this series.
Your rant has no
Halo's
effect on me.
Terrible.
Because you lost all legitimate objectivity on that one. Your hate is just rampant.
Yeah, well, I played the third one, and then, saw everything else they did.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's the thing. So now we know about that. Also, other release dates.
It's
things
October
that might be
27th for anybody who's wondering when Halo 5 comes out.
Yeah, so now we know that.
I'm not even sure what the fuck it's about. That does bother me.
It's about a new Spartan hunting Master Chief.
Yes, but have you seen all the fucking previews and Discover the Truth or some shit?
Yeah.
They have 2 alternate ones, and neither of them tell you dick about what's going on.
So you're supposed to watch that show that we saw at Comic-Con.
I saw it. I saw fucking Nightfall. It has nothing to do with this.
One of those characters is going to be that Spartan.
Yes, I know. That's all. That's the only connection. God, trust me. I am up on the Halo-ness. I love the Halo universe. And still, it infuriates me how little I know about this game that's supposed to be coming out soon.
Oh, you mean like all the trailers that you guys mentioned earlier?
Yes, what the fuck is the problem with these people?
So another little thing, there's an adventure game being built out right now. Are either of you guys familiar with Homestuck?
Oh, I know the name, but I don't recall.
So you've seen 1 billion of their cosplayers at any cosplay event that you've ever gone to, like Fanime. They're the ones that have
the gray people.
Symbols. Yeah, so Homestuck was a kind of choose your own adventure style webcomic series that a guy was putting on, and it became really big, and there's a lot of stuff that came behind this. It was actually kind of a cool system, a cool story that I kind of enjoyed for a little while. It got a little heavy for me at one point, in its exposition, so I kind of moved on. But it was a cool experience, to be part of, and it's got a huge fucking following, a huge following. It's definitely a cult thing, and there's going to be an adventure game called Hive Swap, which is going to be in the style, or I think it takes place with some of the characters from Homestuck. So that's kind of a cool thing coming out, or eventually, or what. I don't know the release date. There wasn't one on the article I saw, but it's being made, which is kind of cool.
Yay, creepy goth elves.
Right.
That's what I think of every time I see it. I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but you look like creepy goth elves.
Yeah,
what is it called? Home style?
No,
it's called Homestuck.
Don't Drow have horns? No, I guess Drow don't have horns. You're Drow plus horns. You're tieflings. You're tieflings in Depeche Mode.
You're tieflings.
Your flock of seagulls, tieflings. I'm not trying to be offensive. That's just what you are.
Nice. And then the last big thing that kind of came up in the last couple of weeks, and I really want to talk about this one. This is one of the bigger notes for me. Is that first of all, esports has now officially had a TV broadcast. There was a collegiate-based Heroes of the Storm tournament called Heroes of the Dorm. Basically, it was a collegiate, right?
Well played, boys. Right? Well played.
It was collegiate funded teams that were playing for scholarships and things like that. And there was a big tournament that went on in the last couple of weeks, and it was televised on ESPN2, actually televised for the first time ever. And it's kind of a fucking huge step.
But hold on, there's also been a Quidditch tournament that got a full wide cinema release. So
yeah, cinema's different than ESPN. It's been recognized as a sport, basically. We've now actually qualified that, yes, this is a sport.
Right.
I feel like ESPN is still not the fucking people you really want to talk about. They barely qualify as fucking
doesn't matter who it is that is broadcasting this thing on the TV. The fact that this is a huge major network that has decided to broadcast a sports or an esports event on TV during like actual TV hours is a fucking huge deal for esports, right?
I'm still trying to figure out what he means by the Sports Ball channel isn't an authority on sports ball.
Right. I
don't watch much sports ball, but I'm pretty sure ESPN is a channel dedicated entirely to sports ball. That's like saying CMT doesn't know a goddamn thing about country music.
Well, it's like saying MTV knows shit about regular music.
No, MTV does not stand for Music TV anymore. CMT does stand for Country Music Television.
What does MTV stand for now?
It does not. MTV is just a moniker now. They no longer specialize in music television.
Point is, it's a huge deal, and I'm really excited to see where this has to go. But, I mean, were any of us surprised at some of the reactions that some of these people had? Like, I actually have a video, and I'm going to post it in the chats for anybody who's interested in checking it out. But there's this video of a guy who's having his response. He's like an ESPN dude. I don't fucking know who he is. I don't fucking give any shits about who he is. But there was this guy, and he's talking about how if he ever has to cover an esports like experience, how he's going to retire. And he is a sniveling, absolute pompous dickwad. And I'm just sitting there going like,
"Oh, dude. I thought his commentary was like, I truly do not know what's going on."
No, he's not commentating this. He's talking about what happened on esports and how, or on ESPN, and how this whole people are playing their video games. My thing is it's an outrage. Blah. And he doesn't even. First of all, he thinks it's League of Legends. First of all, which is funny. Then he mispronounces the word Blizzard. I don't know how the fuck he did that. And then he goes on to talk about how, and this is one of my favorite quotes of the whole thing, like he's looking at him, he's like, they're actually excited about this. You mean like you are about your sports ball?
Yeah.
It's like the dude was just this arrogant piece of shit. And it's like,
you also have to remember that he probably grew up thinking that anybody who didn't go outside was a bunch of fucking nerds.
Well,
right?
So what bothers me about this thing is that, first of all, what the fuck, dude? Second of all, not every person who plays games is some sort of, basement troll.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wearing a fucking Tough Mudder shirt. I got this from doing the event. There are plenty of people. In fact, there's actually a really cool situation where there's an esports / fitness program. They're trying to get together and do a simultaneous thing where they, promote the fact that gamers aren't all just, fat asses on their, mother's basement chair or whatever. And not only that, but promote the idea of being a fit person while you game. Like, that's not... We're not just those things, and the fact that he just assumes that and goes on to fucking TV or whatever and says this shit, like, man, it just blows me away that somebody could actually be that naive and do that, But I'm also not surprised. It hit me in this part where I was like, I wish I could just fucking.
It's like sitting there on the bus and having an old guy grumble about the African American person sitting next to him. I mean,
right.
I get it. I understand how to us it's extremely surprising and just out of left field, but the generational gap is huge.
Right.
And that's really what's going on. I'm not saying he's right, and I'm not saying you should forgive him in any way, but you should at least understand that that's what's going on, right?
But at the same time, to say something like, I don't want to be a commentator for a video game, and I would retire before doing that. And saying something like that really respectively, not even public, just to the people, that's one thing. Going to a public channel and just proclaiming in this really douchey way all that stuff, that's where it crosses the line.
It's because they still think it's a fad, right? They still think...
Well, I don't know how you can think it's a fad when the thing is doing as well as any other... I don't get it. People are just they're not looking. They're not looking. They're not using their eyes.
I understand your frustration. I totally get it.
Away.
But you know what? Even a lot of times when certain sports started, it was that way, right? People were like, "Oh, what's this National Football League and shit?" Like there was actually a good movie about how that whole thing started.
Right.
And everybody was like, "Well, it's not baseball." Shit like that, right? So right now people are going, well, it's not football or any of the other regular sports. You mean you don't have to go outside to do it? Nah.
Well, the other thing is the problem is people are living too long.
Maybe.
Yeah,
The other thing that really makes this funny is that people would say, "Oh, if you're an esports person, you're not athletic or what." It's actually kind of funny how few people realize how much time these people put into it and how much training they do, and a lot of them keep themselves in shape as much as they can because if you get out of shape,
you die.
Well, if you get out of shape, having your muscles do what you want them to quickly and and with dexterity is kind of more than just like, oh, just pick up a keyboard, it works kind of thing. And it's like. Just because it's not I have big muscles and can slam that other dude, doesn't mean it's not athletic in some way, Like, think about golf, for example. Why is golf considered a sport if esports isn't?
Bowling.
No,
Bowling could
fuck both of you. Curling.
Dude, curling is actually one of the fucking coolest things in the world once you get used to it and understand it. That was a cool game.
No straight guy ever.
This has been said about me too many times. Whatever. If you guys don't think I'm saying, that's fine. The point is, curling is awesome.
Please elaborate. I've never done. No, seriously, I've never done curling.
So curling is like this game of shuffleboard, except for you're doing like 70-pound rocks or whatever the fuck those are, and you're using brushes to basically what they're doing is they're actually changing the texture of the ice. So that it slides at a different angle, so that it goes into at a very specific speed to the circle, so that they can get the point by being the closest to the center. It's like it's a really complicatedly awesome thing, and I'm just like blown away when I figured out what it was. I don't know, Devin. Just like
I understand the mechanics of curling, but why?
I don't know why, but it's awesome.
All right.
Anyways, so those are the kind of
these people with their fucking sports have just gone too goddamn far at this point. Not everything is a sport. That's not a sport. That is not a sport.
Oh, sure it is. Come on.
No, it's not.
Well, I guess it's as much a sport as fucking a first-person shooter.
No, it's not. A first-person shooter is competitive.
They're competitive.
So
competitive. Scrub that
it's not.
motherfucking ice.
No.
Curling is a competitive thing.
Who even's like, I bet I can throw this rock further. Yeah, but I bet I can throw it really precise. Okay. No. No.
You sound so silly to me right now.
No, it's dumb.
Although I do feel that if curling's an Olympic sport, I think butts up should be an Olympic sport.
Well, and to be somebody did argue that poker should be an Olympic sport, and that was actually, I don't know.
I don't think it should be an Olympic sport because to me, Olympics is about physical things.
Well, not even that. It's just there's way too much left up to fucking luck on that one as well.
That's not true at all. No, that is not true at all.
With poker?
Yeah, you were just wrong.
There's definitely a lot of strategy. But
there is luck involved, but if you're a good poker player, it doesn't matter how lucky or unlucky you are.
I know. I understand that the weight of luck is much less than most people think. I totally get that. But I'm also going to say that if you just get shit cards and the other guy has good cards, it doesn't matter. If he still has a better hand with you, no matter how good you can make a stone face.
So it depends also on what kind of poker we're talking about. When I think of poker, I think of Texas Hold'em, which is a very different game than Five Hearts.
And I'm also talking about Hold'em, right?
Dude, you don't have that many cards.
I don't know how to play
cards
poker.
on the table. You've played with us, haven't you?
Nope. Played a lot of blackjack.
Huh. I thought you'd played back in the day at the table in high school.
Hold'em's too much for him.
I've never even played it.
I could have swore that you had because we used to have.
I tried to explain it to you once, and you were like,
"Yeah,
no.
It's all a bunch of bullshit made up stuff with you got a flop and a dip, and no, fuck off. Just they're fucking cards, and just tell me when you're giving me cards and when I'm giving you.
That's what I mean. It was too much for you.
It's not too much. It's made up.
Yes, every game is made up.
No, some games use real things. Blackjack just uses counting. That shit's just math. Hey, how many cards you got? 2 of them. What do they equal? This? You fucking lose. Okay. That's it. That's that whole game. Oh, I don't got enough. Give me more addition. Here you go. Thank you. That's it.
Except for when you have to do the splits or the double downs.
No, that's just division. then more addition.
Well, okay. Whatever. I mean, it's still mathematical when you look at poker, but I'm not going to go into it because that seems like a silly
off-top. But there's not made-up words.
Anyways, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about today?
Apparently not poker. Shit.
Yeah, seriously.
I love Hold'em. I love playing Hold'em. And,
I'll give you something to hold.
Yeah, you
okay.
will.
It's mostly just gonna be like things that I don't want to hold, like grocery bags and babies.
Yeah, I have this pet peeve of just holding things in my hands. I like pack everything in me pockets.
In me pockets?
In me pockets.
I thought you were just made an American, not a leprechaun.
You're wearing the wrong glasses for that, man.
¿Por qué no los dos?
You see, it's a thing, Steven. We were playing a game, and I dropped that, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, it's a commercial. We say this all the time. And he's like, nope.
Yeah, we literally say it all the time.
All
Right
the time.
here.
We've done it on
Right
the
here.
podcast before.
It's still the first time I really figured it out. You had to explain it to me because I didn't
I
know
don't
this
know if
fucking
it
commercial.
counts as figuring it out.
I do not know about this commercial. It has never been shown to me because I don't watch. No, don't
I
you
will
dare!
look it up.
Don't you dare!
You were gonna
Yeah.
watch this commercial.
No!
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not gonna watch this fucking commercial.
All right.
Oh,
all right.
I saw
so,
a Pop-Tart commercial that cursed today.
What?
Yes.
What did it say?
So it's for peanut butter and jelly Pop-Tarts, right? And it's a peanut butter Pop-Tart and a jelly Pop-Tart. And he looks over and he goes, or she looks over and she goes, she's got your peanut butter. And he looks over and he goes, she's got your jelly. And then the nurse comes in and they're like, oh, it must be feeding time. And the nurse starts looking at it. And it goes to pick it up like it's going to eat it. And the guy goes, oh, no. And the mom goes, oh, fool. And it beeps it out.
Oh, well, that's not cursing.
No, bullshit. I have never seen a Pop-Tart commercial that just went,
Okay.
we're going to drop an
Okay.
F-bomb. Blurred or not, we're doing it.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll give you that.
That's like the Trix Rabbit going like, holy fuck, back off my cereal.
Fair enough.
Yeah, what is it? Oh no, you share.
So any other
So
news
one of my
things you wanna
favorite
bring up?
moments. Huh?
Do you have any news things you want to bring up?
Marvel's CEO made some pretty sexist comments. So you hear
Oh, yeah?
about that?
No.
So we were talking earlier about Black Widow and how she's a fucking badass. Also, what the fuck was up with the Tron suit? Anybody catch that?
Yeah, I let it go. Is what
Like,
I think it's the same thing that has to do with the Tesseract style guns that she was using in the first. Was it the first Avengers movie she showed up in? Whichever one she had those guns in. It's not a new thing.
I still don't know what you're talking about with those, but okay. Yeah, anyways, so we're talking about how of a strong character she was, and then still kind of a fallback from the Sony CEO thing. There was an email that was uncovered, basically Marvel's CEO, and I'm paraphrasing just because I don't want to get too into it, but just he doesn't think female superheroes work.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely disagree.
So he's just wrong.
Yeah, I completely disagree. But so that's a thing that happened. I don't know if any of you guys are. Yeah, right. I feel like that's gonna kick him in the
Nerds,
ass.
we're taking this one on the chin here, guys.
Pretty hard.
There's not a lot we can do about it.
Yeah, that's full on just worthy of being
Wow.
complained about.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
So-
deserve this. You deserve this.
Prepare your butthole.
I'm gonna go that far.
So Fox canceling the Mindy project.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen an episode of that show.
You know what? I have a complete and total bias against that actress that has no basis in anything except the fact that I don't think she's funny.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Television.
Television,
okay.
yeah.
That's why I have no idea what you're talking about.
So the Supergirl series got picked up for 2015-2016 season by CBS. So good news.
Wait, it's CBS?
Mm-hmm.
Does DC want a different show on every channel?
Why
Yeah, I
not?
think so.
So they have two on CW, one on Fox, one is starting on TNT. Now there's going to be one on CBS.
TNT, which
Teen
one's-
Titans is going to be on TNT.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So their biggest competition is getting all this praise because they're doing this shared universe thing. So WB's like, we're not doing a shared universe. We're not even putting stuff on the same network because we're crazy. What the fuck?
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
And
There's-
Constantine was on a different channel too. What was that on?
NBC.
See? See what they're doing? Oh, and technically, iZombie is Vertigo, just like Constantine was, and that one is playing on...
CW.
Oh, that one is CW too? Okay, fair enough. They got 3 then.
And actually, iZombie just got renewed for another season.
Which is great. I actually really do like that show.
I watched
really
the first...
short comic run.
Yeah, I don't think they give that.
4 trade paperbacks, done. That's the whole series.
And then, so Tom Hardy dropped out of Suicide Squad.
Yep.
But now he's announced that he kind of wants to do Marvel movies.
Nope, forbidden. The nerd. I am speaking on behalf of the nerds here. Guys, I know a lot of you fanboyed over Bane. Let me reassure you, upon a second viewing of that movie, you will realize that it is not good, and we are banning him from comic stuff. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, that movie is... I actually didn't like it the first time I even watched it.
No, it was terrible.
I didn't mind the second
And
one of the
it wasn't like the Daredevil movies where it was like, oh, the movie was terrible, but Affleck was fine. No, the movie sucked, and Tom Hardy sucked.
But
guy. No,
anyways,
he doesn't get to be the Punisher.
What else we got? What else we got?
Splinter Cell. He could be the guy from Splinter Cell, whatever the hell his name is.
That's not a fucking... It's not a comic movie.
I'm sure they made a comic about it.
No.
It's a book series.
He gets nothing.
Yeah, no. Fuck that guy.
Anyways, what else you got?
He can play the Cat in the Hat.
So we talked about... no, I think that's about it for today. 'Cause we talked about iZombie. That was my other one.
Hold on. I'll get the picture if you're not going to do it. There was big news this week. Suicide Squad, full cast photo.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
No, I haven't seen this, so yeah, definitely link that shit in the chat.
I'm
going to put it up on the...
Yeah, link it in the chat for me too.
But I just was so disappointed.
What were you disappointed by? It's a full look at the whole cast.
Yeah, talk about that since we're going to have a visual of this
Things are going to look terrible for a second. I apologize, stream. There we go.
You should have said that by any other place then, but, you know.
So there's that for you guys. Let me get this up for the folks in chat so they can actually see it. We'll pull this over here. Sorry guys, this is just going to take 1 second. OBS is not the most friendly for me adding these for some reason. But you guys are looking at it, right? You kids can see it.
I've got it on here. Okay. I don't know. It looks... And don't get me wrong, there are some very good cosplayers out there, but it looks so cosplay.
Yeah, to me it looked like an 80s movie. It looked like a cheesy 80s film.
That's why I was disappointed. Where I'm like, I was expecting the fucking like Suicide Squad and like and I got like a bunch of guys getting together for pretty good costumes, but they're going to Comic-Con and they're really proud of it. Woo!
That's not playing ball, you piece of shit.
That's kind of what I got.
You to do. Steven, first impressions. Just while I'm still getting this up, I apologize again.
My first impressions, I kind of agree with Eddie on that one. I first immediately noticed how much I disliked the way they make Harley Quinn look, but...
Well, okay, hold on.
She's a character that always seems to be designed in some stupidly cheerleader...
Blow that up so you guys can see it. Okay, so let's just go over first who we're seeing here, alright? Going from left to right, you have Slipknot, that is his name. Captain Boomerang, although it should be Captain Boomerang Jr. from what I've heard. Crouching down is Katana.
I love how you're actually reaching up to your screen and pointing at it because everybody can see what you're pointing at.
So that I can keep track, bitch. Standing up looking like a weird gothic swamp monster is the Enchantress.
She looks like the fucking thing from the Pirates of the Caribbean, the fucking...
Yeah, she does, and I don't understand why. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Like that.
Go on.
I can never remember the name of the dude that Harley Quinn is hanging on. He's
Generic Soldier Man. That's what he fucking looks like.
He's basically a cheap Deathstroke knockoff, is who the character is. I can't remember his name. He is a legit comic character. He's not like a made-up thing, but he's a cheesy Deathstroke knockoff. Fuck him. Then, of course, you have Harley Quinn.
Your best friend's, like, older sister. That's all she looks like.
Then you have Deadshot, and there is a picture. Deadshot will have the mask in the movie. It kind of looks like a paintball mask, but... I'm sure they'll spice it up. Then you have the cheesiest looking one of all of them, Killer Croc.
Okay, yeah. He looks like Jamie Foxx if he ate some bad fish.
Yeah,
like just got all swollen up.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the farthest right, you have El Diablo. Okay. So to settle,
You mean El Diablo? Because that's a total cholo stance.
He is kind of a cholo.
I'm just saying, it works.
Just, so for the whole Harley Quinn thing, if you didn't think she was going to be in this costume, you're completely kidding yourself.
No, I
Harley Quinn is in this huge renaissance for whatever reason. Like, I actually really enjoy the character. You guys know I'm a huge fucking Paul Dini fan. He invented her. I'm a big Harley Quinn fan. I could take or leave the new costume. Honestly, it doesn't offend me that much. It does kind of seem like the thing she would do because remember, she's little Miss Leech off of one villain to the next to the next to the next. She's a serial dater of villains. Yeah, the slutty costume fits, because she's a fucking slut. It's part of the character. She slept her way through college to get her degree.
Fair enough.
I get that we're trying to move away from the whole slutty girl and empowered woman thing, but let's all recognize the fact that some women are slutty, and this is one of them.
My issue isn't that. I just remember her from the original costumes that I've seen, and that's kind of where I'm going for originally.
Again, like, fair enough, I get it. And again, I could take or leave the new one. Personally, I kind of prefer the old one because it fits with, like, the theme more. But this isn't out of realm of the character. This is the look she has now during her big popularity renaissance. It was going to be this costume.
So
I had no delusions of her being in a unitard.
That's not what I'm fucking concerned with.
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting that either.
The fact that she looks like a fucking teenage pop star bothers me,
but
honestly.
Again, she's supposed to. She's a sex pot. It's the only reason Joker really keeps her around. He's his on-again, off-again, love, hate, murder, combat. Like, it all fits. She is a psychologically damaged person. She's a psychiatrist who is literally forcefully driven insane by a madman. This all fits perfectly.
Meh, still disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Just the movie's going to be a horrible pile of shit, don't bother. But the costume is totally justified.
Well, that one costume. So...
Yeah, everything else looks like ass.
Before you go off into whoring us out there, Steve, did you guys hear about the sports fisticuffs big fight that happened recently?
Oh, yeah, that's another thing about esports, by the way, guys.
Go on.
Here's the thing about esports that it's kind of funny to me. When's the last time we had a fist fight over esports, like with two team members? I can't think of one.
No.
I legitimately want to see. I know. I legitimately want to see if somebody can come up with a fist fight that happened at a sporting event that was an esports event.
Okay. To be fair, though, there have been many fist fights within our own while we're gaming and shit.
Well, right. But I mean, like at an actual esports event, how many fist fights have we seen?
Not everyone. None, because no one's old enough to drink.
I legitimately just don't know. I'm curious. Do we have any? Because this happens all the fucking time in sports.
There was a stabbing at Comic-Con.
Okay. Anyways, you had some fisticuffs sports ball.
So there was this fucking boxing match that went on, right? And Mayweather and Pacquiao.
Pacquiao.
No idea what you're talking about.
Oh, Devil showed up. But anyway, so there was this fucking boxing match, and honestly, I'm a total fucking boxing casual. I watched it because my best friend was like, come over. I really didn't want to, but, it happens. And it was absolute shit. But that's not what we're going to focus on. All the boxing commentary aside, I'm not an expert, I don't give a fuck. The national anthem, for those who don't know, at the beginning of any national anthem, at the beginning of any sports ball or sporting event, you sing the national anthem. For this one, it was a high-profile event, so they had Jamie Foxx do the national anthem. Oh my god. No, it was fuck awful. And look, it wasn't even that his, voice was wrong. Like he can sing. But it's all, he did the, hey, in the middle of the fucking national anthem, and, added this R&B spin to it. And I was sitting there horrified. I'm like, this isn't a remix of a song, right?
So what it is that you just became an American, right? So you're angry that somebody is fucking with this thing you had to memorize.
You're all filled with this patriotic joy. Does that come in pill form now? Is that what they feed you?
Yeah. No.
Sorry,
what they don't tell you is that as soon as you walk in the door to swear in, they jab it in your neck.
Oh, okay.
Fucking syringe filled with America.
Pure,
No,
unadulterated Merca.
It's just melted down McDonald's
and this happened
Bald
before I became a citizen fucking this morning. But I was horrified. I was like, look, you want to go and take a classic song and do a little remix, throw some R&B in it? Cool, man. I get it. Creative license, but this is the motherfucking national anthem. It represents the entire country, not just one subset of the country. I feel like you're fucking with a classic, or beyond a classic. It's just, I don't know. I think he fucked it all up. You guys should check out the clip, honestly. Tell me what you think.
I saw it and I didn't bother. I was like, nah, don't need that happening.
Oh, no. You should check it out because, like, he doesn't have a bad voice. It wasn't that at all. I just felt like he took way too many artistic liberties with the national anthem. But, meh. I thought I'd bring that up. Also, the fight was bullshit and boxing is dying. What?
Okay. You know what I can't wait to replace boxing is that that Australian company who's building those suits so they can bring back live gladiator fights.
Yeah, the one where they're going to be using actual weapons.
Yeah, they're just not sharpened, but they're seriously steel axes and swords and
they're blunt and stuff. Yeah, they're gonna.
But they go full contact.
At that point, like I don't watch MMA because there's a lot of hugging going on, but I will watch the fuck out of that.
Nonetheless, so I assume that is the end of your random tirade on boxing and how it's dying.
Yeah, well.
All right, Steven, you start dancing.
All right, so I'm going to start dancing. All right, so if you want to check us out, you got to go to 5dpodcast.com, or you can check us out on the Facebook. We're in 5D Podcast there. You can also go to us on our YouTube, 5D Podcast there. These are all, of course, with the numeral 5, not the whole word. You can also check us out on Twitch if you're not here already. We are here every week, Wednesdays, starting at 7, and ending around 8. Well, we are late sometimes, but we'll talk about it. That is 5D Podcast on Twitter or on Twitch. We're on Twitter, 5D_podcast. I'm also Figbird485 on the Twitters, and you can also follow Cosplay Fiend, who is the third host or fourth host who hasn't been here in a while. Otherwise, you can email us at the 5D at 5dpodcast.com email. Send us your feedback. It'll be good. Also, rate us on iTunes. We're there too.
Woo! All right, everybody.
That was a lot harder to do because of the whole dancing while.
That was the most exercise I've had all week.
All right, Steven, any closing thoughts for you?
Not really, though. Fuck yes, esports.
All right, Eduardo.
Looking forward to my first fisticuffs at an esports event.
Good man.
Looking forward to Eduardo losing his citizenship.
All right, everybody.
Due to a clerical error, they will take it back.
Right. With that, everybody, have a good night.
Bye.
Hasta luego.
Oh, now it's coming back.
Am I not allowed to do that now that I'm a citizen? Should I take the glasses off? Is that what's going on?
I stopped recording Reddit. Because I'm a citizen, I cut it off right there. Oh, I cut off the recording. We're still streaming. Bye, everybody.
I'm glad I didn't say nothing weird.